ball knocked loose. White dive on it.
This is twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor.
They try to save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good.
Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, layup. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derek White.
All right, welcome in. First of the Floor podcast. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Ben Vallis here, along with longtime expert in the field of Celtics appreciation. It is Jackson Bauer. Jackson, how you doing, man?
Amazing, dude. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, dude. It's off with a bang. We've won 100% of our games in this new year.
Stop
incredible.
The count, right?
Yeah, we haven't spoken to you in a while. I don't know if we've had you on this season thus far, but if you're new to the show, like Jackson, obviously like one of the OGs of the Celtics Reddit podcast, and joined me on the first ever episode of this now long time enterprise. I guess we'll get into the game in a second, but like, how are you going with this season? Is it like, if say middle expectations are at a 5, 1 being completely fallen below expectations and 10 being like greatly far exceeded expectations, where are you sitting on that scale?
I think the last we spoke was in the off season, and I think we were all feeling pretty pessimistic at that stage. So expectations then probably I would have put myself like maybe a 4 out of 10 season. You know, nothing goes wrong, but suck, but do it ethically. Where I'm at now, if it's not a 10, man, it's a 9 or a 10, because it's so much fun. The losses don't really sting. I start to get tense in games where it looks like it's slipping away, and that wasn't the case for like the first month of the season. That's just where I was personally. So yeah, I'm starting to care. I'm starting to get antsy. It's starting to get stressful when games are close, and that's a good thing, right? Because we just thought we were going to be like, shit, pretty much, relatively speaking. So I'm stoked with how the season is going, man. Is that about where you are as well?
Totally. That's why we're here tonight. We could be with the family. We could be enjoying the time off work, the holidays, but we're doing exactly what we need to be doing right now, exactly what we want to be doing right now, which is talking about the Celtics. And there's plenty to get to tonight. Is Luka Garza good? Like, properly good, no caveats, fuck off first to the floor. I'm good now, good. Like, we'll grapple with that for a little bit later. Jaylen Brown, is Ethan Hunt, a la Mission Impossible, win this many games with this roster? We'll talk about that. The road trip the Celtics find themselves nearly at the end of, and maybe we'll start there, Jackson. 120-106, the Celtics win in Sacktown. Big picture, what are your sort of major vibe-ish takeaways from this one?
Big picture. What is the big picture? I've got lots of like little picture takes, but I mean, you probably go into like a Western road trip and you think like, regardless of whoever the opposition is, like 500 or thereabouts is probably a fair result. And even though like every team we've played so far has been, very much out of the playoff position, I guess, except for Portland. I think 3-1, regardless of who the opposition is great. You know what I mean? And I thought it sucked to lose against Portland. It was one of the first losses I was just talking about, where I'm like, shit, man, like we should have had that, and it was actually like bothering me a little bit, even though I think Portland is better than their record. I could say that about the Jazz as well, and that was a pretty good performance. And today was, it was like we seem to be settling into a pattern where we kind of are a bit dodgy in the first quarter, and then by the time we get to the fourth, we're just like really kicking their ass. So big picture, I think we're the balls, man, still.
Yeah, I think that's clearly the case. I think this was unfortunately like an objectively shit game, and I think it came down to our guys, mostly Jaylen and Derek, the former of whom looked like they might have had a late night last night, simply saying, I'll be fucked if I'm losing to the Russell Westbrook Sacramento Kings. Jaylen Brown, 1 of 7 in the first quarter, 4 of 12 in the first half rather. Derek White did not have a made field goal in the first half either, and yet despite that, and to some degree, I think this speaks to just how shit Sacramento are. This was a close game, like within a possession or two the whole first half. Like, what stood out to you there? Like, given obviously our two best players, Peyton Pritchard was, I think, more efficient in the second half and was part of the squad that sort of kept us in it in that first half. But it both speaks to how bad Sacramento are and how well the sort of the player developmental side of things are going for the Celtics. That our two best players, two of our only like sort of big market, like league-wide appreciated good players, even though like as fans we know we've got more talent than like what we appear to have on paper. Despite those top two guys being utter shite, we were like very much in the game and like a possession or two away from the lead, or like 1 point up or 3 points down at most the whole first half.
Yeah, we were turning the ball over a bit, especially like to begin with. I think the very first play, Cater just like throws it away, and it was like, and then it was a Precious Achua 3, and then a steal, fucking breakaway 3, dunk, I should say. And I immediately just thought, yeah, these guys like celebrated too hard last night. The energy's not there. This is going to be one of those losses that reminds you that we're not actually like, you know, a top tier team, even though we're all sort of talking ourselves into it now. But yeah, the rough shooting from Derek White and Jaylen Brown in the first half sucked. But I mean, this road trip and probably the last month in general, it's becoming more about like, as much as it's been about like Jaylen Brown's like 30-point streak, it's becoming more about the bench. You know, we all thought Anthony Simons, Luka Garza, you know, were terrible like a month or two ago. Maybe I'm speaking too broadly here, but I think that was the general consensus. These guys are showing up. These guys are delivering. Sam Hauser is getting hot after looking very much off the mark to begin the year. And we're able to sort of withstand, you know, a bit of a regression to the mean or a fall off from the likes of Cater and, you know, Jordan Walsh and stuff too. So as long as we're able to like hang in there, and Sacramento was shooting like way better than they had the right to. I think, I'm not looking at the stats at the moment, but I think like they're one of the worst 3-pointing shooting teams in the league, and they were like well above I think they'd made more than what they averaged by like the third quarter. But 36-year-old, 37-year-old Russell Westbrook is going to do 37-year-old Russell Westbrook things, and it was just brick after brick after brick. And I can't remember the exact sequence, but it was like he missed the 3. We got a fast break, and then something happened. I can't remember, sorry, but at that point I was like, yeah, they're cooked. Like we're now seeing the real difference here. But credit to them for hanging in, because if we got like down more than 15-20 points, like I know we've done it, like we did it against the Pacers and whatnot, but like there's no guarantees you pull those leads back, especially if you guys are having off nights, you know.
Yeah, it takes me back to why I feel that was an objectively shit game. That was like it heavily featured the worst version of Russell Westbrook, and like we see this with all the greats, like the Orlando Magic, Patrick Ewing, and like the possibly also I think it was the Cleveland Cavs, like Sean Kemp, like these guys who go to these sort of perimeter fringe franchises to die career wise, and we're seeing that with Westbrook at the moment. And obviously much prefer the Derek White, Jaylen Brown fourth quarter takeover than the Russell Westbrook, give me the ball, I've still got it, attempted takeover in the fourth. So very much happy to be on this side of the fence. I think everyone who's not a Sacramento fan can say that. But yeah, credit to the role players and the bench, all game really. But in the first half, the role players and bench like solely kept us in this. Cater and Pritchard combined for 17 points. I'm going to classify them as role players, although Pritchard is probably, I think we've got Rivens in the chat here, might argue is very much not a role player. But then Garza, Simons, and Hauser combined for 32 points, again in the first half alone. Ugo was great, had his usual impact. I thought there was a moment where Joe Mazzulla put him in midway through the second quarter, and like he clearly changed the dynamic of the game, and probably like prevented the Kings from getting out to a bigger lead at that point, given how poorly Jaylen and Derek were playing to that point. I also thought Baylor Scheiman was good in his like very few minutes. How many minutes did he play in this game? He played just under 9 minutes. I felt like he was really visible in his minutes, and like I also really liked his defense, like the defensive aspect of his game more than anything else. Like, tell me if I'm crazy, but I just thought he was moving his feet really well. I thought that he did really well as the defender, containing the ball handler in pick and roll coverages, but then also like digging down if they threw the ball to the roll man, or just like really, I think being really effective in like his management of his like space on the court defensively, maybe like somewhat a la Jason Tatum. I just, you know, I have a very critical eye when it comes to Baylor Scheiman, and so therefore I'm biased like against him. and I'm hard to please if your name is Baylor Scheinman. And in this game, I was like, Baylor, all right. Like I've heard the whispers, I've heard the analysts like who are like in the reads of Celtics analysis say like Baylor's sort of come up a little bit. I hadn't quite seen it with my own eye yet, and I thought tonight, just like the promising signs of either someone who's long for the Celtics or someone who you can at least like shop around because of their defensive prowess. I don't know. What do you think? I thought Baylor was pretty good.
To be honest, my prevailing memory of Baylor Scheinman was, I think it was the third or the fourth quarter. He tries to inbounds at the baseline. It's nearly a 5 count. So he just fucking throws it into the air, goes out. He inbounds it again. It's tipped, it goes out, and then he like another one to Jaylen Brown that's a turnover, and I was just like, oh man, that was rough. But prior to that, I can't remember what the score was, but I think Sacramento had put one of those, because it was quite a seesawing sort of like game scoreboard wise for the first 3 quarters, and I think he comes in and he hits a big 3, like a corner 3, that I think like either gave us back the lead or like got it back to even or whatever it was. But I definitely noticed that for his defense, my eye probably wasn't as keen. I wasn't as ultra observant as Baylor as you were. So that's my bad. But I think for me, I kind of believe what you're saying about Baylor. Like, it's not just like, good PR or like them trying to like gas this guy up to, because that's just the good thing to do for one of the guys in your team. But because we've seen like, Cater have his moment, Walsh have his moment, we are currently seeing, Garza have his moment. Like all these pieces that we've got off the bench, it's like, you just know they're going to be good. Well, you hope, based on the evidence so far, they're going to be good for like 2 weeks at some stage of the year. So I think like wishful thinking, maybe not wishful thinking, but like I hope like Scheinman is that next one to like sort of like take the belt of like the sort of like cult hero amongst the fan base for a couple of weeks and like really impacts winning and whatnot. But I mean, shit, I still remember that Brooklyn game he had last season where he was just like, I can't remember if he or maybe it was a stretch of games. It was while I was in the States last year, but I was like dead impressed with him at that stage. I think he could definitely contribute to the team. And as you said, if like he doesn't, or if he just like improves his value enough to bring in a backup big man or some other piece that's going to be more meaningful in the long run, then sweet. Like it's a win-win. So yeah, good for you, Baylor. Good for you.
Yeah, good for you, Baylor, because it was not looking good for a while there. And yeah, that 3 was his only shot of the game. Like he's really, really like picking his spots like to the nth degree, which is good to see. But he finished the game a -2. Like we got to give our props to like Ugo Gonzalez, who finished the game a +20. I think a team high +20 in 18 and a half minutes off the bench. Like dude just comes in, injects his Spaniard energy into the game, always for the better it seems, which I'm just so excited to see where his career goes. 2 attempts, 1 of 2 from the floor, and yet a +20, like just with his energy and his affecting of the game. But yeah, I mean, the Garza thing, I don't know if we should just do that now, like we had it on the run sheet to talk about, like, is he or isn't he good? Because, I mean, there's a couple of things. Because, like, obviously there's this, like, surface level, he's a hustle guy. He obviously crashes the boards. He creates a lot of second chance opportunities for the Celtics. He also is like, he's good. Like he's elite at the few things that he's good at, and I think that really like jumps off the page to some viewers. Where an example of that is like he'll get an offensive rebound and be pushed under the basket because of his like diminutive size, but then still somehow like find an angle to get the ball back up for a putback layup. But then defensively, so in this game, second quarter, Anthony Simons was like our only offensive, positive trait at that point in the game. Like Anthony Simons, I think he had 14 points in the first half, and then no points subsequently in the second half. And there was a long stretch of Anthony Simons and Luka Garza. And defensively, and the Kings themselves, who were like obviously not the most like hoops astute team in the league, were like, all right, we're putting Anthony Simons and Luka Garza in the action like every time down. And that's exactly what they did. And 2 things happened like almost every time as well. They 100% of the time beat Anthony Simons off the dribble and like cracked the defense, got into the paint. And then Luka Garza is like in drop, just like, oh shit, like what do I do? And the Celtics immediately have to send help. He like is too small to kind of like help on the ball handler, but keep hands in the passing lane, and it just creates like easy looks or easy kickouts and then getting our defense in rotation for the Kings. And it just like, it's a huge vulnerability. And it was crazy to me that we like kept the game close during that stretch, but also it reminded me like why the is Garza good or not conversation continues to be an active one. So how does that balance out for you? Like with the good and the bad and the kind of unknown, like how are you pinpointing your like Garza thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think the thing that probably prevails over all of that is, you will reminded yourself of the question, is Garza good? Like, we're not having the is Hugo Gonzalez good in a dialogue, are we? No, we just know that that's the case. He's a little raw. He'll get there. We believe in him. Garza, completely different players, obviously. There's a lot more noticeable shortcomings as well, too. But, I mean, defense, sure. Like, that's not why he's on the team, when you have to deal with his shortcomings when he is out there. But, like, I'm just really impressed with, like, obviously the offensive rebounding is I think, like, maybe his primary sort of role is on this team. But I'm just really impressed also just, like, with his finishing. Like, he does it, like, a couple times a game. He'll like, set a pick, roll. There'll be some bullet that gets flung at him. He'll catch it, like, up here. He'll probably, like, fumble it. Like, is Garza good? A better player would simply just catch it and make it look easy. He'll fumble it, or he'll do it in a way that, like, gives himself almost no room. He's so close to the board. And he'll just fling it up at a stupid, awkward angle. And it, like, goes in most of the time. And, like, he's done that enough for me to, like, not be like, oh, he's just fluking that, he's just getting lucky. Like, it's a proper skill that he has. And, I noticed that. I just love how he starts off looking like as white and as pasty as me, and within 5 minutes he looks literally like a lobster that's just come out of like a pot. He's just red and he's sweating and he's just and he's like I was contemplating bringing this up or not, but I'm gonna do now because we're on the Garza topic. He gives me Pokemon evolved Aaron Baines energy. You check their stats. Sorry,
in what line of the evolutionary lineage? Is this a pre-Aaron Baines or is this an evolved Aaron Baines?
No. Well, like Aaron Baines was just like the good old friggin' like redwood tree, to quote Taylor Swift. Just a huge dude, and like all of Australia got boards, and he was a big body. Garza is not like anywhere near like that, like imposing of a figure, but their stats are pretty similar, and like Garza's is just better in like pretty much every category except but not by much. I think if you had to like clone Aaron Baines but like make him more of a modern rotation role playing big man, granted you have to sort of like change like the profile of player that he is, but like just the energy just reminds me of it. He's like a big guy. Is he actually good? Was Aaron Baines ever good? No, but he was all of Australia and he looked like a Viking and he was a badass. Garza is like, he's not a Viking. What is he? He's Bosnian, so that would be Visigoth, East Roman. These references getting too obscure. My apologies, but I don't know. Am I talking shit? Am I out of my mind here? He just reminds me of Baines sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I see it. I mean, 3-point efficiency, 47.1% from three on the season. Not like a spike in recent games, just like less than two attempts per game. But like that's very fucking good from a guy who did not play for a large stretch of the season, plays somewhat limited minutes. I am like somewhat alarmed at the amount of Garza we've been getting lately, but I just think in life and in like employment and in professions, like if someone is trying that hard, no matter their role, no matter their profession, no matter the industry they're in, like you kind of have to give them reps. Like nobody tries harder than Luka Garza. And I also think, so yeah, like the Baines comp is, I see it, but there's also, it's a pretty narrow interloping or intercepting Venn diagram, I think, because Baines, the redwood tree was like a huge part of who he was, and I don't know that Garza necessarily is a redwood. I don't. My tree knowledge is that good. Maybe folks in the comments can like lend us some tree knowledge here.
Garza, everybody.
Yeah, what tree? Like I guess a tree that like has a lot of flexibility in bending in the wind. A la I've been pushed under the backboard and I can still bend back and finish a putback layup, because like a rubber tree, folks in the chat, call in, leave us a voicemail. let us know. But plus 9.7 through all games in December for Luka Garza, and he was a minus 4.6 in November. I think 7 games highlights the fact that he didn't play all games in December, but like he was like quite efficient. We're being told bamboo in the chat by Jazzoff. Very good. All right, we'll take it. Maybe we can workshop the bamboo side of things into
Looking for some
Garza's
Eastern
game.
European native sort of trees of that description. But hey, no, go function over geography for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think that we now are able to visually map out the like the aesthetic runner spectrum. We've got obviously Tom Cruise on the top end, incredible gait, flawless gait, like known perhaps more for his running than his acting overall. I think, you know, if whoever has the privilege of eulogizing Tom Cruise will talk for 10 minutes about the running before they start to talk about the acting portfolio. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Hubbard, but sorry, go on.
Yeah, maybe. Well, anyway, a complete opposite end of the spectrum. Luka Garza, Sam LaFrance of the How About Them Celtics pod, has professed that Luka Garza is akin to like running in your dreams, where like you want to move as quickly as possible, but just have no control of the fact that you're like apparently stuck in mud or whatever it is. It's clear with Luka Garza that is what running feels like to him in a conscious state, which is terrifying and yet inspiring. If you can get on an NBA basketball court when like that is clearly how running feels to you in your real conscious life, then I think that means any of us can do anything, Jackson. Awkward time to throw it to you.
No, that's fine. I got one. You know how the T-1000 runs in Terminator?
Yeah.
This one's like chopping his arms. But imagine if like Arnold Schwarzenegger just had that. The T-800 had that running style. That he's a bit more creaky. It's a little bit more like Soviet era, like robotics and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I think he kind of low-key looks like a young Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe young Arnold Schwarzenegger's like distant cousin or something like that too. So that just strengthens my Terminator reference there. But yeah, also a thing with guys who bust their ass, like it's much easier to forgive their mistakes or their shortcomings because you see them giving a shit. I'd rather have, maybe not rather, but I wouldn't want a team of like these guys, but like a guy who like busts his ass and sucks is still going to be at least more likable than a guy who's awesome and just clearly doesn't give a shit or is a pain in the ass to be around. Granted, it's good to have someone like that when they're working on your team, when you're trying to win games, more than the guy who sucks. But like, we're in the regular season. It's January, you know what I mean? You're gonna need some like clunky T-800 action that Garza provides, and yeah, I'm well impressed with him because I thought he'd be either DMPs for a long time, and he was trending that way, or not like this is what I'm trying to say. Pleasantly surprised by his output.
Yeah, Luke Harangody crawled so Luka Garza could run in his dreams, apparently. But the reason I bring up Luke Harangody is because he's like a fun regular season guy. And like at a surface level, and why we're talking about it for so long is like he makes life good. He's enjoyable to watch. He's fun. Scowl calls him a workhorse 10 times a game. Like Scowl's clearly enjoying the Luka Garza experience. We've said a lot. We still haven't touched on like whether or not he's actually good. And I hope to God that there's like multiple people within the Celtics organization who can like put emotions aside and just like make the right decisions. Because if I had to think about it closely and somewhat analytically, I would say that Luka Garza will be played off the court in the playoffs very, very quickly if he even sees the court in the playoffs. And as an extension of that thought, it's very likely that we see some movement before the trade deadline, hopefully to bolster our big man depth, because as fun as Luka Garza is, we saw it against the motherfucking Sacramento Kings today that he is so exploitable, it is not funny. And there are going to be playoff quality teams, and if we're fortunate enough to progress through multiple rounds, increasingly good playoff quality teams who are going to feast upon the poor running in your dreams, foot movement, and defensive lack of ability that Luka Garza unfortunately possesses. So through a championship lens, he's not good enough. And I know that sucks to hear because he's so much fun and he's a fun regular season guy. And I hate to say it, but to a certain extent, that's kind of what ended up being the case for like Isaiah Thomas as well, where like you can be really fun in the regular season. Obviously, there are different tiers. Isaiah Thomas's peak was exceptionally high, But we all knew it in the back of our minds that we probably weren't going to win a championship with that roster and with that player as our best player. Luka Garza is in that realm as well, where he's exceptionally fun, but he's just not going to be able to get it done at the highest level should we need him to later on in the year, if we're fortunate enough, and if Jason Tatum comes back. So I think we're starting to now touch on whether or not he's good, and like he's fun, he's good in the regular season, but ultimately he's not going to be good enough. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. I guess if you're looking at it through the championship lens, which I think we would probably both acknowledge might be a bit of a stretch this year, or maybe not. But yeah, long term, the pieces that you can acquire, the assets that you will need, the personnel, the rotations, the strengths, and lack of vulnerabilities for potential playoff matchups, deep playoff matchups. Yeah, he's probably not it, but I mean, who knows, man? Who knows? Maybe we just see some hardcore extra Pokemon evolution out of this guy, till from now until April. Probably very optimistic. Maybe he gets traded away and we don't have to worry about that question anymore, because then he'll be, I don't know, someone else's question to answer. But for right now, for the trenches of the regular season, I don't mind him. I'm very happy he's here.
Yeah, I agree. He's a lot of fun, and as a fellow easily perspiring, very sweaty man, I appreciate that there are those like us at a professional level. Shout out to RJ as well with the super chat. He says Garza is situationally good in the regular season. I agree. I just think that the like spectrum of those situations is increasingly narrow. But thank you, RJ. We're going to move on. There's plenty more to get to with this game and plenty more to get to with the upcoming season for the Celtics. But first, a quick word as I stumble for the video from our friends over at PrizePicks. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on PrizePicks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops. And PrizePicks lets you take control. PrizePicks is really easy to operate and genuinely just an awesome way to supplement, enhance even, your hoops viewing experience. New feature alert, PrizePicks now has early payouts. If your player gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Selecting more on Luka Garza points seems like a legitimate way to achieve that currently. I can't believe I'm saying that, despite everything we just said. Also, find your community on PrizePicks. With the new social feeds feature, you can share PrizePicks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. Copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow PrizePicks partners like us and tail or fade our picks with just one click. So, download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 off your lineups, $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Shout out PrizePicks for sponsoring the First of the Floor podcast, as well as the CLNS YouTube network, basketball, sports, podcasting network for supporting the show. Much appreciated. Jackson, I don't know if you've got a certain direction you want to take this in next. I think we should probably get to like other stuff from this game, fourth quarter for the most part, where Jaylen Brown, Derek White decided to wake up and getting back to the like fuck losing to the Sacramento Kings side of things. These guys woke up and made sure that was not an eventuality.
Yeah, totally. I'm running out of things to say about Jaylen, man. Like, so we haven't spoken this season. I'm sure like everyone shares the same opinion of Jaylen Brown right now, and that is that he's just playing simply just like one of the best players in the league. It's especially impressive when you keep it up for that long and then you start a game, 3 for 11 or whatever he was, and then still like should have had 30, missed a free throw, got like a very dodgy. I don't know if it's dodgy, but like Scal certainly thought it was dodgy, so I will side on him. Foul at the end that got him taken out. He would have cracked 30, like no problem if that was the case. And yeah, same for Derek. The shot wasn't going in, but he was getting assists. He was breaking plays up. He's he's always going to give you the defense that that he's renowned for. But yeah, fourth quarter D White, man. As soon as like one goes in, like that running sort of end of the shot clock, thing that he flipped up that went in. Once that happened, it was kind of like, all right, I'm back MFs. So fantastic from them. Very reassuring to know that these guys are can deliver when. I was gonna say when it counts. Let's be real, it doesn't really count against Sacramento in the middle of a Western road trip, but it got the win, man, and that's just what they do. They're winning players, and they're playing out of their minds at the moment. So I did want to just briefly touch just on some Cater stuff. Not that I think he was particularly impressive or anything, but there was a stretch that he had. Sorry, I'm overtaking this. Did you want to I'll talk about Jaylen?
No. Let's hear the Cater stuff, because obviously revenge game for Cater, and I had nothing on him, so it's probably important that we get to him.
Yeah, that's cool. It's not much, man, but just I remember I think at the end of the second quarter he had like a push shot that he missed horribly, and it was like real bad. And then he just made like 3 or 4, maybe it was only 3, but it was a few noticeable, really good plays to sort of like close the second quarter. And I think we were down like 7 or 6 or something like that, and we ended up taking a 1-point lead. And I honestly think a lot of that was down to Cater and his play. And we've mentioned how I was saying how you've got some players like on the bench or like rotation players who are taking like their time to have their moment throughout the season and whatnot. And it felt like I keep thinking like, oh, Cater must be due soon and whatnot, but Cater came out the blocks like real hot. I think everyone was expecting Cater to be like a disaster, and some people still think he is in certain aspects and whatnot. But his play to the start of the season was pretty good. And then you have Garza having his moment. Then you have like the Jordan Walsh couple of weeks where everyone sees his defense. It's like, oh wow, so he's kind of like gets forgotten about, and he has probably regressed a little bit in terms of his overall play. But I just really noticed those those Cater plays at the end of the second quarter, and I think he finished off with like a really big dunk too. And and that shoving with Precious Achiuwa. Sorry, that's something I wanted to mention too. Shows that he's
big sneeze.
Yeah. So he's I noticed Cater doing good things amongst a couple of bad ones, but I just wanted to shout out Cater in that respect.
Yeah, worthwhile shout out. 5 of 6 from the floor, 13 points, 5 boards, 3 blocks, and was like clearly emotionally invested in this game as well. I didn't pick it. Like I obviously I know the history for Cater with the Kings, but it didn't seem like, I don't know, they'd done him too wrong. Obviously he's a competitor, and they dropped him, so he feels differently, but it wasn't like this big story, so it wasn't like, holy shit, like Neemias Queta finally like back against his old foe, the Kings, like he's gonna go in hard, and he did go in fucking hard and was awesome. And the jockeying while waiting for the jump ball with the big sneeze was incredible and kind of unexpected. So love to see that. He's been great this season, obviously, and leading back into the Garza stuff. Like the plays are like less loud with Cater. Like Garza, like he needs to be loud because he's like so small to affect the game. He needs to like give 110% of himself, whereas like Garza can be as, if not more effective, giving like 75% effort just because of his dimensions and his ability to like be a deterrent around the rim. So Cater all the way. Yeah, great call. Great shout out for Neemias Queta. He was great in this one. Jaylen Brown, fourth quarter, 8 points, 2 of 5 from the field, 5 free throw attempts. Like I just thought he was like, well, we'll get to Derek in a second, but like the co-lead in the like, please God, let's please not lose to Russell Westbrook's Sacramento Kings. And like the way that he put his head down and got downhill and got to the line in the fourth quarter, I thought was really demonstrative of that. And it's New Year's Day. I don't know I have been to Sacramento, albeit not on New Year's Eve. Does not seem like there's a lot to do there, even to eat there. But I feel like Jaylen Brown may have found something to do, because it took him a while to like work his way into this game. With the fourth quarter, he had it going on. But Derek White, fourth quarter, 14 points, 4 of 7 shooting, 2 threes, also had 4 stocks in this game. Like clearly did not want to leave Sacramento with a loss. And like we've been Celtics fans a long time. With Derek White, you just know it when you see it. And it started with that first field goal make, like you mentioned, in the scramble off of the jump ball in the third quarter. I felt like just comfort, like a sense of ease wash over me. I was like, okay, like Derek, he's up now. He's up for this, and he's not going to let us lose this game. And that was absolutely the case. And the fact that we won the game by like 14 points, despite it being so close for so long, was because of the awakening of Jaylen Brown and Derek White. And there are a lot of complexities with this game, a lot of nuance, and sometimes it's just simple. And I thought in this case, it was just like these guys being like, no, like I refuse to lose to these guys. And that played out exactly that way in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the opposite of like the Joe Mazzulla style and whatnot. Like it's not like we just like want or like hope that we need the superstars to sort of take over in the fourth to sort of like rescue the points, but like sometimes that's just exactly what you need, and that's just how a lot of like games in the NBA end up playing out. So the fact that we can lose one of the best players in the NBA for the time being, obviously, and you've still got these like you've got one guy who's like staking his claim for one of the best players in the NBA, and then you've just got this absolutely elite role player that's just so reliable that even when he does have like bad moments and he has the odd bad game here, you never really freak out. At least I am never freaked out, because like you said, it's comforting, it's reassuring. As soon as that one bucket goes in, or like that one sort of like hustle first to the floor, momentum changing play that he has, you just know he's gonna carry on with it. And probably by his standards hasn't been like the best season. It's been a little patchy, but you definitely feel like he is trending like upwards over the last like month or so, even if he does have the odd stinker here and there, which the Portland game I think certainly was. But look, no big deal. These two guys are just going to get it done, especially when the opposition is, as we've mentioned many times, the Russell Westbrook Sacramento Kings. But we're certainly going to need him in the next game. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you can see Derek like kind of figuring it out in real time, like how to be effective and like meet the expectation that we already have of him, but in this like Jason Tatum-less world. And at first it seemed like he was like maybe not going to be capable, and there are a lot of detractors, I think probably myself included. If you go back and listen to those episodes, I was like, don't know if Derek can like get up for it in this context without the sort of distractive attention of like a Jason Tatum and a Kristaps Porzingis. And he's like, it's been a lot of fun and really satisfying to watch him find ways to impact a game or the game at a level that we've been accustomed to. It's been a slow build back to that point, and the efficiency's definitely taken a dive, and I think that's to be expected because of the attention on him in the absence of all of that talent. But he seems to be affecting games, like back to be affecting games in the way that we sort of were previously accustomed to, which is really good. On Jaylen Brown, very quickly. So the All-Star voting returns are back in, and damn, my screen is like too small to read this. If I just zoom in on us, Jackson, Jackson's glasses on, leaning in. 6th in All-Star voting in the East with 808,000 and some additional votes. And above him, Donovan Mitchell, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, which is kind of huge, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I guess that's to be expected. I was kind of surprised to see Tyrese Maxey over Jaylen Brown. Paul Pierce, I think, correctly professed that it's because everybody hates the Celtics, which in my own experience in life is certainly true. I met a Lakers fan at the airport coming back from Hobart the other day, Jackson, and he saw me watching a Celtics game on my phone and was like, I'm a Lakers fan. And I was like, well, hello, like, what do I say to that? But then getting to talk to him, I quickly helped him understand, and he accepted this, that the Lakers truly only have 12 championships, not 17. And when he pushed back on that, I did some Googling on my phone and showed him the facts that they didn't acknowledge those additional championships until the Buss family took over. So fun little side quest for me while I was waiting for my plane. But Jaylen Brown, incredible season, and I think clearly deserving of an All-Star starter spot in the East. It'll be interesting to see how those additional votes play out. But a call to Celtics fans, Jackson, to pull your finger out, fucking vote for this guy. We've got those days that pop up where your votes count for like 3 times. You're a single vote. And I think maybe Celtics fans, if I had to guess, are like they're maybe a little bit entitled, and like we've championships, we've got multiple All-Stars all the time. We're awesome. We don't necessarily need to like interact with the league in this way, but like you do. This is a down year. Jaylen Brown needs your help. He's very deserving. Like, get out there and vote. I say this because I haven't voted yet, and I feel bad, and I obviously need to.
How dare you?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I am the person I'm criticizing. But I feel like if I'm not voting with my enthusiasm for the Celtics, then other people probably aren't either. And so it's a call to arms, people. Jackson, have you voted for Jaylen Brown yet?
Yeah, you bet I have. If ever you're watching this right now, pull your phone out if you haven't voted already, and just vote for Jaylen Brown and vote for everyone. Vote for Garza while you're at it. No big deal.
Yes, please vote for Garza.
I will do that afterwards. I promise you. But make sure you do it.
Sure.
I already have. I'm kind of baffled. I thought all of Tatum's votes would just go straight to Brown. You know what I mean? And Tatum, arguably yes, probably has more of a profile of a more better known NBA player, I guess. I've never really thought about how much more popular Tatum is than Brown, but evidently significantly. But it doesn't make any sense to me. I thought Brown would be top 3, no problem. I get it with Maxey. Maxey's having a really good season. Fuck the Sixers, but can't hate too much. Him above Donovan Mitchell's stupid though. I don't know what's going on there. The Cavs have sucked. They're getting a little bit better, granted, but Donovan Mitchell above Jaylen Brown, if you just compare the production that you give versus where your team is at, versus the expectations of what Mitchell had. Everyone was saying that Cavs would be pushing on to go another step this year because of how disappointing last season ended for them. And I thought for sure they would. I thought they'd be the number 1 seed by a long way, to be perfectly honest with you. And yeah, not even close. And it's probably unfair to put that all on Mitchell. I think they've been injured, but the point is what Jaylen Brown is doing down there in 7th or 8th or whatever it is disgraceful. Yeah, I have no doubt he makes his game, and I have no doubt he absolutely balls out. I just feel that's just destined to happen. But you won't get there without votes. So Ben, everybody else, myself included, vote for Jaylen Brown, man.
I've just put the link in the chat. When I post this to Spotify and Apple, I'll put the link in the comments, so it's hopefully easier. But Cavs, 8 seed, fuck off. What are you talking about? Sixers, 5th seed? Don't think so. Joel Embiid has no knees. Terrible stuff. So we can enact change in this instance and vote for Jaylen Brown and make it right. So a few more things before we wrap this one up, because it's a lot after a game against the Sacramento Kings. But the Maxime Reynaud, Hugo Gonzalez, coulda, shoulda, woulda drafted, rookie battle. I walked away content with the pick that Brad Stevens made. I thought Reynaud was good early on, and I was like, man, our big man depth. I know Garza's about to come in, who's been great, as we've said, but that would have been an opportunity among a few other bigs that we passed on in recent times. And clearly the Celtics player development department are doing incredible things. What would we have done with one of these big men is something that still keeps me up at night. But Ugo just completely shat all over Maxime Reynaud in terms of impact in the game. I thought in this one, Sam Hauser started for Jordan Walsh in the second half. And Joe was asked about that in the post-game press conference, and he said that we just saw more opportunities for Walsh. It was for Hauser. It wasn't anything that Walsh did wrong. It was just that we thought Hauser had. I'm not quoting him directly here, but Hauser had more opportunities to impact this game. And I think the subtext of that is Hauser could not miss in the first half and was incredibly efficient in this game, in a game where both teams were really efficient from beyond the arc. And I thought it made a lot of sense to put Hauser in this instance. But it has been this revolving door of people as the 5th starter this year for this team. So do you think that this is Hauser's re-emergence as the 5th starter, Jackson?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I keep bringing him up, and I hate to do it, but Walsh, he's probably got hardcore gastro or something, or he's getting ill or whatever. But he looked like he had that spot sort of taken up. But yeah, the more that Sam shoots and just swishes threes, which we know he's more than capable of doing, even if he does have a rough start, even if he had a rough start to the season. Yeah, I think we'd probably see Sam back in the starting lineup before too long. Although I wouldn't necessarily want to mess with what the bench has going on at the moment, especially with their chemistry and their overall plus minus that they're giving out too. So I definitely have to consider it and think about it. But no, I like Sam Hauser for his experience, his reliability. Obviously he's in his groove at the moment too. So I'd like to see him back in the starting lineup for sure. Just quickly on the you talked about the battle of the rookies. I forgot all about Reynaud. I know that was another name that was up there to be taken. In terms of, I wouldn't trade Hugo Gonzalez, for anybody, any rookie for sure. That's definitely the case. But if we were going out for a big man, the guy they're playing the Clippers next, and they got a Swiss guy called Niederhausen, Yannick Conan Niederhausen. Holy shit! I wish we got him. If we were going to take a big man, it's not definitely. I'm happy with Hugo. Keep Hugo, but yeah, we're going to get a look at him next game, and I reckon he's going to impress a lot of people. If you haven't seen him already, I've caught him.
I haven't. Can you explain Niederhausen to me and the listeners?
Just a lot of energy, man. Like, he's all over the boards. I think like I said, I'm saying this. I've read a few things. I've watched a couple of highlights packages, and I just he's got a fun name to say. I might not even be saying it correctly. That's how informed I am here. But we'll get to see it on Sunday Australian time, Saturday American time. But hopefully he's not too good. Doesn't mess up our little run here. But no, I quite like him. But yes, not over Hugo. That's for sure.
I'm gonna be at the cricket Sunday, but I'll dial in. I'll excuse myself and go out the back and catch a bit of Niederhausen, and hopefully the Celtics beating the Clippers as well. I think we've touched on everything. I guess the last thing, like if you're a game rewatcher, so Anthony Simons, along with Luka Garza, is someone that we've been critical of. Anthony Simons 4 assists in this game, I thought was quite notable. Should probably shout out Jaylen Brown's 10 rebounds as well, which we didn't touch on earlier. That was great in the absence of his scoring efficiency earlier in the game. But Anthony Simons 4 assists. If he grabbed at least 1 rebound, if I can just bring up the box score here, he grabbed 2 rebounds. Career high with the Celtics, perhaps. I think there are clearly signs that Anthony Simons is trying, and maybe even signs that trying is leading to additional integration, better sort of on-the-court integration with the Celtics. But 7:30 remaining in the fourth quarter, JB subs in for Anthony Simons. And if you want to look at the juncture from where we stopped losing the game and started winning the game, it is exactly that point. Obviously, you replace anyone with Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown comes in, you're probably going to be doing better no matter who you are. But to that point, Anthony Simons, there's a lot of dribbling. We know the deal with Simons now. And it's a lot of sort of empty calories basketball. Jaylen Brown comes in, and that lineup locks horns and just completely goes at the Kings at that point, and completely turns things around and turns what was a close game at some points we were losing to a 14-point victory. And I just thought that was so illustrative of the Anthony Simons experience, which is 14 points in the second quarter, whatever it was in the first half. That's great at a surface level. Probably gave up as many points as he scored, if not more. And then in the fourth quarter, it was just more than night and day. It was flying from Pluto to Earth levels of night and day in terms of just a habitable place for human beings to thrive in. It was such a difference.
The air is breathable. Yeah.
Finally, yes. So if you're interested in that juncture, 7:30 in the fourth quarter is where to pick that up from. I think that's everything from me. I apologize for having so many aggressive thoughts after a game against the Kings, but it's been a while since I've been on the show, to be frank. It's just been a busy period, and yourself as well, Jackson. So any closing remarks before we wrap this one up?
No, not really. Like I said, it's if you lose games lose losses against shit teams, it just happens throughout the season, and I don't think anyone would have really been too caught up about dropping a game in the midst of a West road trip, even if the opposition is who we've repeated many times so far. But no, wasn't to be. We've got Derek White, we've got Jaylen Brown, we've got a Frankenstein's monster of role players who are either in the midst of a hot streak or just have something really reliable that they can go to. So yeah, no, got the win. Real interested to see how we'll go on Sunday against Clippers. I know you won't be able to see that, which is unfortunate. But yeah, we're running into the midst of Kawhi Leonard in an absolute friggin' scorcher of a heater that he is on at the moment. So how we're going to handle that, and my ill-researched Niederhausen hype is going to all come to the fore there. But yeah, no, on to the next one, man.
I'm going to be checking the box score all day at the cricket, looking for the Niederhausen stats to see if the rumors are true. But yeah, Clippers have been on a heater lately.
Yeah. it's no win for me. Either he's great and he dicks us, or he sucks and my credibility goes down. But I also don't give a shit about my credibility. You've been listening to me for any amount of time, you'll know it's just it says it right there. I can't point today. Fucking assistant vibes manager there.
That's
There's
right.
no expertise there. It's just vibes. So
You gotta promote yourself to vibes manager, man.
Yeah, you know what? I've been assistant for like 2 years now. Probably it's time to move me up. Put me on the front row. So
Yeah, you're ready. All right. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy New Year. Sign up to the Patreon. It gives you access to our thriving Discord community and so much more additional content. The link is in the description. Cheers, Jackson. Love your work, man. Until next time, go Celts.